Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Peachscore's Demo Day. It's a pleasure to have everyone here with us, and I'm Payman Shahmarzadi, Partner and CEO at Peachscore. Welcome. To begin with, I'd like to thank our amazing partners, NRW Global Business, Los Alamos National Laboratory, Startup OS, Forecaster, Max Aroma, as well as the Payani Group. We love partnerships. Strategic partnerships is how we build ecosystem, and we're very grateful for all our partners. Let's start our program. Here's the agenda we'll be sharing with you today. So we'll have our opening. I'm going to as well, I'll share with you an overview of Peachscore and everything that's going on here at the company. And then we have the amazing Kayvon Brewman, CEO at SignalRent, doing a keynote address. After that, a great fireside chat. We'll be discussing the innovation and investment, the role of AI in automation. From there, we'll go into our startup pitches. We have 6 amazing companies that we've been working with for the past few months, sharing their journey and their pitch. And I'll come back at the end to close the program, and I'll stay on for a few minutes afterwards if anyone would like to chat with me directly and answer any questions. So let's start. Overview of Peachscore and what we're up to here at the company. So one of the things as we're looking into the startup industry, it's quite evident that there's a lot of challenges within this ecosystem. Based on an SVP research report done last year, there's 40 million startups, businesses, SMBs that are being formed and have a lot of challenges, and they're not getting the support that they need. One of the things that they look for in terms of support is applying and trying to get into accelerator programs. About 1 million out of these 40 million companies are doing that. But unfortunately, due to a variety of reasons, only about 20,000 of them are actually being accepted and being able to get the support that they need. This is causing many challenges for founders and the startups within this ecosystem. They have to wait extremely long times to see if they're even getting accepted in the program. When they are, there's insufficient support in some cases, and overall, they're not able to find the support that they need outside of some of these programs. And they're also extremely expensive. A lot of accelerator programs charge anywhere from 5 to 12% of equity in order to be part of their program, which is directly setting a valuation for these companies. And being able to utilize this becomes sometimes prohibitive for a lot of startups. So as we saw this, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so at Peachscore, we developed a universal startup scoring system and accelerator platform, that leverages data, intelligence, automation, as well as human expertise to help early stage businesses really at scale. We're able to really support a lot of startups at scale and really support them through their journey. The key here is speed, scalability. We're able to accept many startups into our program now. We have education and growth designed into our program. And as well, coming up to next year, we'll also be investing directly into startups as well per qualification requirements. And in doing this, I'd like to announce that our new platform has released. This is what we call our Integrated Data-Driven Accelerator Program, Peachscore Platform 2.0. what we've done is not only do we have our scoring system that startups can use to benchmark themselves against companies that are alike, as well as angel investors, VCs, corporations, government innovation teams can utilize this same score as part of their due diligence process when analyzing startups that they want to connect with. But in addition, we'll also have integrated our data-driven accelerator program onto the platform. So now when you sign up to the Peachscore platform, you're able to, regardless whether you're in the ideation phase, the pre-seed stage, seed stage, even very close to Series A stages, you're able to utilize all of these benefits. The program's completely online. It is 100% equity free, and we don't do any kind of warrants either. And we're also industry agnostic and global. We've supported companies from around 15 different countries around the globe in the past 6 months. It is a 10-week program, all designed within our platform, and you get many benefits besides the educational aspect of the program. There's a lot of market and business intelligence tools. There's our engine, our Peachscore engine provides a lot of recommendations in terms of how you can improve your company, and it's all done from an investor's point of view. And we have networking, matchmaking built into the platform. So the organizations I mentioned, they can reach out to startups on our platform, and startups can do the same in return. Everyone that graduates from the program will get a graduation certificate, and we'll also have a dedicated demo day for graduates on a regular basis moving forward. We'll also have social feeds, events, and there's perks available on the platform where people can apply to, and as well as continuation of our live workshops with the amazing advisors and mentors and executives that we have coming in supporting the program, one-on-one sessions, and regular office hours. So if you'd like to talk to me directly next week, we'll have our open office hours, and come join the program, and we'll be able to have a lot of conversations, and we can help you in your journey. So with that, let me introduce Mr. Kayvon Bruman. Kayvon is a pillar in the startup ecosystem out of Silicon Valley. He's an investor, founder at Signal Rank, founder at Innovyze, and CEO at Global Tech Ventures. Can we have Kayvon on the screen, please?
Well, thank you, Payman.
Hi, Kayvon. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm always very excited when you guys have your demo day. You guys are doing a great job, and I feel privileged to be able to share a little bit about my experience, and hopefully it'll resonate with some of the founders here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I'll give you the stage. I appreciate it.
Great. So today, guys, everyone, well, hello to all of you. I can't see you, but I know you're there. As Payman said, my name is Kayvon Bruman, and I am the founder of Signal Rank amongst a number of other companies. Today, I thought, what can I share with these founders that would resonate, and if that maybe they could remember something about their responsibilities as founders of a company, and what are some principles that maybe I can share with you that I listen to, that I adhere to, and running all the businesses that I've had over the years. Just by way of background, I started my career at Xerox, so a very, very large corporation. I've worked for a small family management consulting, accounting, and legal firm. I have ran businesses in Europe. I was a CEO of a water company in Europe. I was the founding COO of Plug and Play Tech Center. I was a founder of GSV Labs, and today I'm the founder of Signal Rank, which is an AI-driven fund, which I'll talk about a little bit, and so forth. And the reason I'm sharing about these experiences is that no matter what business I was in, whether I was working for a large corporation, or if I was working for a family business, or if I was working for a startup, building a startup, these are some principles that I was fortunate to learn early on in my career, and I thought I'd share them with you. That is really how, if I was to tell a founder the single most important responsibility they have in a company and that is to focus on their customers. And I'm going to share some principles that I adhere to ensure that my organization, focuses on customer satisfaction as its primary way of doing business. One thing that I've noticed with a lot of founders is that founders don't understand the responsibility that they take on when they start a business. Okay. When you're starting a business, you are building a community. Okay. You are building a family. And it's really important to understand that the company is more important than yourself. And if you think about the structure of a company and the structure of a board of directors, that is why the one responsibility and one action a board of directors can take is to fire the CEO, because businesses want to ensure that the company is even more important than the CEO and the founder. Now, it doesn't mean that a founder is always at risk, but it does mean that the founder has a lot of responsibility when they decide to start a company. And the primary responsibility they have is to basically, focus on customer satisfaction in order to achieve business results. Now, how do we define the customer? There's many forms of customers, and that's another thing that a founder needs to understand. Obviously, there are those customers who pay for your businesses, pay for your services. But also, there are internal customers. Internal customers are just as important, if not more important, than the paying customers. And those are your employees, those are your partners, those are your board of directors. And so it's really important that a founder understands who their customers are and understands what their requirements are in order to build a thriving business. And so when you look at, those principles that I talked about, there are basically 5 principles that I learned in my early days at Xerox, right? That was my first job out of college. And they taught me the importance of how to build an organization based on customer satisfaction. So the first principle, I call it doing it right the first time. As founders, sometimes we get into a predicament where, let's say, we've made a mistake, but if we acknowledge that mistake, it may cost us some money. Maybe we may lose that customer. And it's really important to understand that when you're running your business, you have to take a long tail approach towards your business and acknowledge mistakes that have been made. But doing it right first is more than that. It's about preparing your business. It's about making sure you think everything from backwards forward. So when you set your company, you need to set your vision. You need to set your vision and your mission, and from there, identify who you are, what you do, and why you're in business. And from there, basically identify your product. Well, how do you identify your product? You identify your product by talking to your customers and identifying what their requirements are. And that's really the whole basis of the lean startup methodology, which is a methodology to teach founders how to build their businesses. And so when we talk about doing it right the first time, you follow the lean startup methodology, it's all about building products based on understanding and exceeding customer requirements. A lot of founders make a mistake because they say, well, I have industry knowledge in this sector, so I'm going to build my product. Well, it's good to have a thesis, but the right way of basically building a product is before you even write a single line of code is to go and talk to as many potential customers as possible and talk to them and share with them what your vision is and share with them what you think the problems that you're solving for these customers and validate that. And it's through that process of validation that you can do things right the first time. And that also relates to the second principle that I always adhere to, and that is to focus on customer satisfaction and meeting and exceeding customer requirements. So we talked about doing it right the first time and building the product, but let's talk about, understanding your interactions with your customers. And so it's really important as you build your business that you take the perspective of your customer in mind when you build the processes for your business, right? Put your feet in the shoes of that customer and say, okay, what is this customer journey going to be like? And how can I establish processes within my organization to make sure that my customers are delighted in doing business with us? And there's a lot of organizations that do a great job at that you could look at. An example, in the retail industry, I believe Nordstrom's does an amazing job of basically from the moment you go into that store that you understand you're going to be treated with respect and that they're going to do their best to satisfy your needs and giving you a product that you will like to buy. And they go at so far, and this is the only company I know besides Zappos, that you can return your merchandise at any time for any given reason. And they're doing that for one reason only. So make sure that the Nordstrom customers are 100% satisfied in their experience in doing business with them. And as founders of the company, that is exactly what you need to do. As you're building your product, as you have your operations, as you go through your sales, as you go through, building your team, you want to make sure all those customers are extremely satisfied in their experience with you. Which gets to my third point, and that is employee empowerment. As your responsibility as a founder is to find people that are smarter than yourself. Okay. Now you may have the experience, but it's really important to understand how important it is to find people, to train the people, and empower them to do the work that they need to do. Now, how do you empower an employee? Well, number one, you got to make sure you hire the right people. Number two, you got to make sure that you train them properly. And number three, you got to be extremely clear as to what their goals, what their KPIs are, and what the definition of success is for them. The third thing is you need to monetize them based on the goals and responsibilities that you share with them. And that's not necessarily all revenue driven. It could be about teamwork. It could be about focusing on customer satisfaction. It could be a number of things that are not just revenue related. And then the fourth thing is you got to make sure that you trust your employees. You trust them to make the right decisions. Because the worst thing you can do is be a micromanager and to tell and to be over, and to mandate things without giving them an opportunity to do their work. And when you have employees that are dissatisfied, I promise you, they're going to treat their customers the same way. So empowering an employee is all about making sure that an employee feels valued in the organization. And that is very, very important. The fourth component is what I call competitive benchmarking. Now, we all think that we're the only entity that is doing what we're doing. And I promise you, being in Silicon Valley, I've had many founders come to me and say, you know what? I am the only entity that does that. And I'll go back to them and say, guess what? Just yesterday, I met 2 companies that are doing what you're doing. And so the reason I'm saying that is that even if your idea is unique, it's only unique for a very short period of time. Because the minute you start pitching it to investors, the minute you start presenting, at a conference, the minute you start talking to friends and family, that idea becomes less and less unique, and there'll be more people that are going to be doing stuff. So benchmarking becomes very important. That means shamelessly steal best practices from people that are in your industry or that do similar things that you do. Okay. And there's nothing wrong. So my advice is to get to know your competition better than almost your own company, and learn about their strengths and weaknesses, and shamelessly steal their best practices, and basically make sure you know how you create value and differentiate yourself from your competition. The last principle is about building a team and teamwork. As a founder of a startup, you have more work than you have time. So it's really important to build an environment and a team that can work together. And as an early stage founder, there are times where you don't even have the positions and the people to do the work that you need to do. So you need to share responsibilities. And one thing that I always advise startups to do is imagine your organization 5 years from now. Imagine if you had all the money in the world, how would you build your organization? And then look at your team that you have today, and then split those responsibilities of that 5-year organization with the small team that you have. And it's because of that it's really important to create a culture of teamwork where people can work together, share responsibilities, and basically share in the successes, but also share in the failures, and figure out how to make those, how to correct those mistakes. So if I were to repeat the 5 principles that I would strongly recommend that you guys focus on to build a customer-centric organization, the first principle is doing it right the first time. Focus on understanding and exceeding customer requirements, empowering your employees, competitive benchmarking, and team building. Well, I hope this information was helpful for you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some of my experience with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, K1. Really, really appreciate all your insights. If I can ask you to stay on stage. Our next section is the fireside chat with yourself. And let me also introduce Mr. John DiCarlo, Executive Director at JP Morgan. The fireside chat is going to be on the innovation and investment, the role of AI and automation. We can have John join the stage, please. Hi, John. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, great. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate your time. And I'll leave it to you, gentlemen. I'll go ahead and take out off the stage. Thank you so much, John and Kate.
Well, John, I've done a lot of speaking right now, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then you and I have had some conversations, and we could talk about the role of AI in today's marketplace, in today's world.
Sounds great, and thank you for the Peachscore team for having me as well. So thank you, everyone. My name is John DiCarlo. I'm based in LA. I sit in our tech group in the commercial bank, largely focused on fintech sector. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation about AI and the applications there. And Kayvon, I really enjoyed the intro. I think one quick takeaway and segue even is that laser focused perspective on your customer. Mm-hmm. And I think especially as we get into consumer fintech and investing, with any major paradigm shifts in technology such as AI, there should be a very real focus of what the consumer is ultimately comfortable with, especially as they're talking about investing and how much they're willing to give up control to technology. I think that's a big thing when you're talking about a technology that's advanced so quickly and has so much power in it. And then coming back to just consumer level and what people want, what the role they want to take. So I think it'll be really interesting. So looking forward to this.
Yeah. Well, and you brought it up, we've had AI. AI has been here for years. But I think what happened was when OpenAI and ChatGPT came to the world, it was like a big slap. Like people all of a sudden got awake and go, oh my God, look what AI can do. But it's not that AI is new. AI has just been here. But because of the amount of data that is available, and due to the hard work of organizations like Microsoft and Google and these big players that have basically, AI is just smart search is really what it is, right? And so the nice thing, but with that, what we've realized comes a lot of responsibility. And so, tell us, maybe, about, the role of AI in consumer fintech, why, how do you see that rolling out, and what are some of the challenges, and what are some of the benefits of what's going on here?
Yeah, well, you bring up a good point too, as far as just automation in general. I mean, there's even think about like robo advisors have been around for a long time, as far as thinking about portfolio allocation and different things. I think the big question mark when I alluded to what consumers will be comfortable with is how much power will they give up, in the sense of, would a consumer be comfortable with a technology platform, and again, not controlled by an individual, but a platform maybe debiting from your account and then investing on your behalf? Does that feel overbearing or too much, versus maybe more of a platform focused on cost savings, focused on efficiency, let's just say optimizing your yield? Like maybe you have a lot of cash sitting in a low earning checking account. Oh, I can optimize it elsewhere, as opposed to really like taking control of your funds that you as a consumer is your money, and maybe is your savings. And I think that's one of the big questions from a consumer perspective. And then I think we'll also probably touch on the regulation side as well, of who ultimately is controlling this, and if things go wrong, who's on the hook when you're thinking about fiduciary roles and various aspects.
Yeah, I think one thing when it comes to AI and fintech, and what ChatGPT has been able to do, and what chatbots have been able to do, is as these organizations understand the decision-making process of their customers, right? So from the point that you express an interest into a product, a financial product, to the point you make the decision to buy or not to buy, or to invest or not to invest, there's a series of decisions that a consumer makes, right? And those companies, that their AI understands that and asks the right questions, and to help them make, get past the different gates of decision making, then I think they have a higher chance of success, right? And that's where that disruption comes, right? Because now all of a sudden, as you have more data, you understand that, for instance, geographically, someone who's going to make an investment that is, let's say, in a lower, an area that is not as economically developed, or they're not as, wealthy, they have certain ways of making a decision. Their reason for investment is very different than someone who has a lot of money and is really maybe willing to take more risk. And so as these AI platforms get smarter and smarter, what you're really talking about is personalizing, AI being used to personalize investment decisions. But then, go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's a great point as far as valuation underwriting loans, different things. You're right. Like there's generally, if you just think about traditional processes where it's, I'll call it more run by a human. I mean, you're really still setting up some rules that you're working within, at least to get to a certain point of making a decision. So whether that's different KPIs, different underwriting metrics, you probably have a set guideline of, okay, it's met this, kind of check the box, it's met this. Okay, this seems like a potentially viable investment opportunity. Now I'm working within a broader band, and then I'm kind of making more of a broader business decision of, is this something like I truly believe in? Do I really believe in the growth there? And that's where there's definitely this meshing of, and I think that first aspect of it, of kind of getting through these set rules, that there could be a lot of automation to filter through that. But then there's that business decision of like, is this the one we want to lean in on? And that's a different thing.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely right. Now you brought up something about regulation, right? And for some reason, I kind of look at regulation as addressing fear, right? Fear of the unknown and fear of, how are we going to control this, right? When you think about, digital currency and Bitcoin when it first came along, right? I mean, governments were all panicking, and because quite frankly, it was new to them. And I'm seeing the same sort of kind of like fear and paranoia with AI, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. From a regulation perspective, what's your view on regulation and AI, and the direction we're taking, and is it correct to be regulating AI, or are we kind of overreaching right now because we don't know what we don't know?
Yeah, and I totally agree about kind of regulation with it's challenging for regulation with so many uncertainties and unknown, and there will need to be regulation. I think that will certainly happen. How that all takes shape is probably to come, and I think you kind of alluded to some analogies even on, which I think is a good analogy on the blockchain side as well. If you just think about broader decentralization, broader platforms that are really more tech based without human intervention or oversight, that's a tough place, because again, when something does go wrong and you're looking for corrections, or even making sure that, as a regulator, regulation, you want to make sure you fully understand, people fully understand what is going on and what processes are working. And I think that's, to your point, there's definitely gonna be some challenges there, but I think there'll be regulation in the sector just to prevent, and we've seen it again, like you mentioned, some other areas in AI where, that have been more in the news and media, as far as just maybe decisions veering off into a different path that could be based on certain historical data that's not really where things should be headed, when you think about morality and ethics and different things. So I think they'll definitely, that'll be to come. I think there's an open question mark of what it looks like and how they're going to do it.
Well, it seems like what they're trying to do right now is just create frameworks around, how to establish regulations and so forth. And because you have to set the guardrails, right? I mean, at the end of the day, regulation is here to protect people, right? And if people think, now sometimes it gets a little confused because, innovation sometimes creates fear that maybe the public is not going to be protected. But, and a good example would be, what happened with Sam Altman, right? And OpenAI, when they board basically fired him. And, when you think about the role of OpenAI was an internal governing regulatory body for the ChatGPT products, right? And the reason why, and this is my perspective, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this. The reason why Sam got fired was because the board felt he was moving too fast, right? And that, we have to basically, when you have a technology that is the world in every sector. This governing body felt it has a responsibility to move things slowly, because as you see now, there's all these different GPT services and products that are out there right now. And the board just felt uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, the reason, and this is kind of this is where I think it's kind of scary. The whole idea for the regular, open AI was to have a kill switch, right? Hey, let's kill this thing. And what we realize is that we can't. We are now going down a rabbit hole, and we don't know what's at the end of that rabbit hole. And so it could be a little scary, but I kind of look at it like the internet, right? It's kind of like people feared the internet when it first came along. And of course, there's always going to be bad behavior, people that behave badly. And there's always those people who are going to protect those protect people from those bad behaviors. And I see the same thing happening with AI, right? We do have bad actors, but guess what? We also have good actors. And it seems so far, the good has been able to, kind of squash the bad to a certain way to protect people in certain ways. But there's still a ton of fraud. There's still a ton of scams going on. And that's just the world we're in. So, people just need to understand it. But the most important thing is, you need to understand, we all understand now that AI is here to stay.
Yeah. And this is, I think we talked about a little at the beginning, but just, the technology itself has now gotten to a level where, again, it's pushing consumer and customer comfort to levels that you might not have thought about previously. And which in turn is pushing regulation as well to levels that are just a little sometimes hard to digest and contemplate, versus consumer behavior saying, hey, we need this technology. It's really more the technology pushing the consumers forward. Hey, this technology can essentially do a lot of things for you. What are you ready for as a consumer? And then like you said, on the regulation side, what are you ready for to make sure the consumers are still protected at the end of the day? And so, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. And I agree, there's been a lot of just major paradigm shifts in technology as well. And I think the one thing is people seem pretty educated, I think, on AI already, versus there's been some other ones, whether it's cloud or crypto and blockchain as well, and different things where I think there's been some real education time periods. So, I think this might move a little quicker than some of the other ones, but again, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Right. Well, I would say the one negative thing about regulation, like the AI Act in Europe, right? It is a framework, to protect the citizens and make sure everything's done good. But when you regulate things, you're stifling innovation. And as founders and as innovators, that is the part that I struggle with, and it's that balance, because, sometimes when you kind of push those boundaries, in the long run, some good can come. So it's going to be really interesting to see, how AI and then how these regulatory bodies and governments are going to respond to certain AIs, platforms. And I know for a fact, and I can predict this, that the government at some point is going to make an example of some company, right, and go after them, just to set an example, right? But I think, when it really comes down to it, this technology is so disruptive today that there has to be some framework, there has to be some boundaries, and maybe slowing it down a little bit so that people can adjust to it, because it could disrupt economies, it could disrupt, people's livelihoods, the way we work. So, there has to be a way, kind of think about, look at, some disrupting technologies, how Uber disrupted the taxi cab industry, right? Now, the taxi cab industry was disrupted because they weren't focusing on the customer's needs, right? But think about the impact Uber had on the lives of taxi cabs, on the lives of governments. The taxi cab industry is a regulated industry. They make money selling those medallions around the world and in cities. So, that disruption can have some, real consequences. And that's kind of where, that fear of unknown is here. How is this going to disrupt our daily lives? It will make our lives better, but, on the other end, something's got to give. And that's kind of where, we're going to see what happens.
Yeah. And, I want to also emphasize too, obviously there's a ton of positives as well that can come out of this too, and whole different ecosystems built out of AI, which again happened with internet and other sectors. So, like you said, there's certainly areas that there'll be a lot of caution around, but there's plenty of areas where this can actually help, fraud protection and KYC and anti-money laundering protection and services, and helping automate that. And again, from like a machine learning perspective, looking at tremendous amounts of payments data and being able to digest all that and then and use that in a good way. And then also just broader, efficiency. And maybe this is another area that we should chat about too. When I think about just VC-backed companies and when we're talking to companies, today, and probably everyone's heard this, there's a lot more focus on cost and getting to profitability in a sooner time period than maybe the last couple of years when it was revenue focused and growth at all costs. And so today there's much more focus on efficiencies. What are your costs to do this? How can we do this better? And again, that's where I think AI can really help with that. And I don't think that necessarily means just reductions. There's things that grow and services that grow from AI as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about how AI can help that. And today, there is a trend to getting back to what I call the fundamentals in venture capital investing, right? In 2020, 2021, 2022, early 2022, a ton of money went into venture capital. And it was, partially, it was some big players like SoftBank and Tiger and Co2 that were traditionally later stage investors, right? And they came downstream. They started doing investments in seed and Series A. Well, when you have billions of dollars of capital at work, right? What they did was inadvertently they disrupted that market. They went in, and they would give a Series A company $50 to $100 million at Series A. And so, it completely disrupted the market. And then all of a sudden, money got tight, interest rates went up, and, they stopped doing the follow-on investments. And now you have the venture capital market is now just recently recovering from this. And what's happened is, because it's such a small community, they said, okay, the vintage of companies that raised a Series A in 2021, those companies are overvalued, right? And so what does that founder do? He took that money, and so he has two choices. He either has to do what is called a 409A valuation and take a lower valuation, right? Or what a lot of these Series A companies from 2021 did, they said, what, we're not going to raise a Series B, and we're going to grow into our valuation because we do not want to basically take that down round, right? So we kind of see this stuff, and SigmaRank. I'll talk a little bit about Sigma, how we use AI, because we actually, in some ways, we are using AI to disrupt venture capital. And this is not a plug-in for SigmaRank, but I think it's kind of interesting to share, why we exist and how we use AI. What SigmaRank does is we are an AI-driven venture fund. Okay, so we have built a platform where our AI tells us what companies to invest in. Okay. And so what does our AI do? Our AI is looking at the best performing funds around the world because they have been they're the most successful funds that give the highest returns to their investors. And we said, you know what are they doing? How are they investing? How are they identifying unicorns? And so we have, through our algorithms, been able to identify those patterns. And people say venture capital is risk capital, and it is, right? Anytime you're building a new technology, right, you are disrupting, a market. And there's a certain amount of risk, and that risk is mostly human risk, right? So what we do is, I'll give you an example. In 2021, there are 41,873 rounds of investment that happened. Okay, and in venture capital, what they do, the venture world is there's a power, the venture power law they call it. A venture capitalist will, and these numbers are just estimates, but let's say if a venture capitalist in a fund invests in 10 companies, what they will do is they'll only do their follow-on on 2 of them, right? And then they'll put all their money and resources on that. Well, what our AI does is, if you look at the entire venture capital ecosystem, we can see those spikes. We can see those companies that the venture capitalists are, basically pouring their money in, and we invest in those companies. And so our intelligence is following the action and behavior of the top funds in the world. And that's how we use AI for us. So we are 100% dependent on our algorithms to tell us what companies to invest in. But we also have some guidelines, right? We put some rails on it. And we still, even though our algorithms tells us which companies to invest in, we still have to do our due diligence, right? So, and we have to make sure that the cap table is correct. We still got to make sure that the term sheets are based on what our algorithm had determined and so forth. But but what we are doing is we're disrupting venture capital, right? We're taking something that is a hands-on, roll up your sleeve type of approach, very focused on the founders, and we're actually not even looking at the startup. We're looking at the investors and investing based on the behaviors of the top funds in the world. So and to us, a lot of investors go. Some people love it because they actually see our platform as a way to help them make investments. But then we also have that other camp that says, I don't trust AI to help me make decisions in an industry that's already risky. And our approach is we're actually de-risking venture capital. So you always have two camps there, pro and against. And the jury will be out, in 10 years when we see how our portfolio does.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. I think there's, when you talked about probably the people who are really find this super interesting, I think there's an element of there's natural biases that people have, and and that might be from past experience, and maybe they saw a deal in some sector that did really well, or the other way, it didn't do well, and they might just have a very quick, and maybe even subconscious natural bias against a certain vertical. And that's where what you're talking about from a pure data perspective, you can actually parse through that and kind of fight through that aspect of it to have more of a wholesome view of, well, is that really validated? Maybe that's just one experience you as an investor had. So I think it gets really interesting. And I think one other thing to note too, for just broader companies, early stage companies right now, I think generally when we talk to VC investors, not that everyone needs to build their own AI or have their own proprietary technology there, but I think it is important, generally speaking, to have some knowledge of AI and understanding of where you might be able to apply this technology with your solutions. Because I think everyone generally feels this is really important technology that is here to stay. Again, like we talked about, how this gets formed and shaped, is to be seen, but it's not going away, and it's really can be used to really help your company in a lot of ways. And so I think it's important to have some knowledge around that, some angle there of how you can apply AI to make your offering better.
Right. And organizations like yours traditionally have always built their own platforms, right? Because of security reasons and the millions of dollars that you invest in building your technologies internally. So my question to you is, with it, with all these AI platforms and different versions of Chat GPT, is your company kind of open to looking at off the shelf products, enhance that their clients' experiences, or are you still kind of building everything internally?
Well, I'll take it a little more broadly, just from my own perspective, not from the company, but just broadly what I see when I talk to companies, and how I kind of try to guide people. That I mean, you have to be focused on what is first your core offering that you're putting out there. And again, how can AI help that? Now, if it's a critical piece to your core offering, then I think that's something you need to consider about, whenever you're dependent on a third party, right? There's risk there. There's counterparty risk there. What if that party goes away? What if the contract goes, whatever? There's risk there. So when anything's core to your offering, I think that needs to be a discussion of who you're working with, whether it makes sense at what point in time. And again, it might come at a later stage because maybe there's capital, other resources, but whether that makes sense to take things in-house or not. And so I think that's a really important thing to kind of be probably having a constant discussion around. So I think that's an important piece, just from, again, like an operating risk perspective.
No, absolutely right. So, let's kind of, I guess, maybe, talk about a little bit about search and knowledge and AI, right? And how AI is enhancing that customer's experience at an enterprise level. What I've kind of seen today, and I'll give our example, right? We use AI two ways right now. One way we use AI is to literally our algorithms, tell us what companies to invest in. Okay. But then the other way that we're using AI, and we've built that platform ourselves, right? Because you need to have domain expertise, you need to build those algorithms and everything else. So that AI platform is built internally. But however, we also have an investor portal. And what we've done is, we basically use AI to just enhance that customer experience for our investors, where they can ask questions and AI will give them that answer that they need specifically. So that has basically been an amazing, and that was basically, it took us, I think I took our team maybe 2 hours to implement. I mean, something ridiculously quick and fast, and that experience is amazing. So, are you guys doing anything like that? And tell me, how's that working, or do you know of examples of organizations, that are basically using, Chat GPT type of services on their enterprise platforms and so forth?
Yeah. And again, just broadly speaking across the market of what I've seen, I think, custom tailored solutions, like you said, I think is a big piece of where this will come into play, like in the very near term, and already is. So I think that's certainly an element of utilizing that data, understanding your customer to maybe a degree we haven't in the past, and then providing a tailored solution. Whether that's, you can take this a whole bunch of different ways, whether that's time of day that they like to do their personal business, whether that's even think about from an individual perspective, like understanding when they have higher payables, when are they making their rent, when are they getting their paycheck, different things, and really understanding to that level. So I think that that custom offering is certainly an application there. And I think number two, you mentioned kind of on the search knowledge tech side of things. I think that part's super interesting as well. And I think you were mentioning more from like a consumer facing perspective. And then I think it also goes back to just even internally for companies of just how do you, especially for bigger companies too, like how are they finding the right data points, the right resources, the right people or technology to utilize. And again, ultimately coming to a place where you're just getting more efficient with processes.
Right. And I think also what it does do when you look at that, it's also AI can be used for security purposes, right? And so, as as more and more people have access to products and services, online, and you are basically using AI to basically deliver that good experience. Well, guess what? AI could also identify those bad behaviors too.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, which is a nice thing also. So I actually, in my bank, I, sometimes I may use a different device, or sometimes I may be at a different location, and then my bank just stops all, activity. And then I'll get a text and I have to confirm that. And sometimes I'll get a text and a phone call. And that's just because, the AI goes, wait a second, he normally doesn't do this. Or why is he in this country? He normally doesn't go to that country. And so in a way, even at times it gets annoying. In the back of my mind, I'm quite happy that they're using AI, to protect me and my investments. So.
Yep. Yeah. Like you mentioned, geolocation, again, like kind of time of day, how many payments, the payment method, all these things are just data points that you can gather and ultimately learn from, the technology can learn from. And again, to make that the best customer experience for you on the other side, that it's a fine line, right? Because you're trying to protect the consumer as much as possible, but you're trying to make it also not a hard process. Like you mentioned, maybe there's different callbacks or different things, and so you're kind of trying to balance that always with the customer of making this smooth, but also making sure that everyone's protected. And I think that's where again this intelligence and learning can really come.
Uh-oh, Paymon's here.
I'm here. I gotta tell you, I really love the discussion and all the insights you guys are sharing. I think we need to set up like at least a 1 hour webinar, if not get together with some drinks and cigars and really talk all night about this stuff. It's just such an amazing topic. But I really appreciate it in the interest of time. Our startup founders are kind of biting their nails here, Glenn, so let me get them going. John, thank you so much for taking the time. K1, amazing as always. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. It was nice catching up with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right. So let's start our startup pitch session. So we have 6 startups pitching today. We have Venera, Living Sense, Dining Tech, Economy, Starphones, and Codifit. And for our startup pitch session, we have an amazing host, Zoe Betancourt. Zoe is actually an architect in LA as well. She is a key member of the Innovate SoCal group, building an amazing community of entrepreneurs and startups. So let's have Zoe come off the stage. Hi, Zoe. How are you?
Hi, Paymon. Good morning. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the nice introduction.
Absolutely. Pleasure having you. So let's go ahead and get started with our pitch session. And thank you so much for taking the time being with us.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start with the first startup. It's a female-founded company named Economy. They build a listen, learn, earn app, and they've been founded in February 2021, located in Puerto Rico. They are in media and entertainment industry. They are in a seed round stage with a Peachscore grade 8 and a score 785.
Hello everyone, this is Anu Bardwaj, founder and CEO of Sheconomy, the world's first and only podcast listening app where anyone from anywhere can listen, learn, and earn. The problem that we've been trying to solve is the digital exclusion of women and girls, which is truly a missed opportunity for all of humanity. We know, according to the GSMA, that 30% of the world's population still does not have access to low-cost mobile phones. We also know, according to UNICEF, that there are over 400 million girls who lack the basic literacy skills needed to access the new digital economy. Our solution was to create a mobile app where women's voices are not only heard, but amplified on low-cost devices, including 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, built on low-cost mobile operating systems like Geo and KaiOS, in addition to Android and iOS devices, which we all use. Our apps now feature over 3,000 podcasts led by women in over 20 languages, where users can earn points and soon digital rewards as they listen, learn, and engage. Our market opportunity is huge because we not only focus on women, we're laser focused on emerging markets. Our TAM is $16 billion, our SAM is $8 billion, and our SOM is $1.6 billion, with a 20% conversion rate in the next 2 to 5 years. We think this is highly realistic given our partnership with Reliance Jio, India's largest multinational company, where we have been building native apps on low-cost phones, laptops, as well as television sets, and also with KaiOS, where we've already scaled to 175 countries. We're also proud to share that we launched a Chic token earlier this year that generated over $250,000 in the first 3 months, and expecting our next tranche in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. We also have a signed agreement with UNDP to collaborate with them in Bangladesh, as well as discussions going on with Grameen Telecom and others in emerging markets. Our business model includes free listening apps on Android, iOS, KaiOS, and Geo, as mentioned before. We have a basic podcaster membership for $275, as well as a podcast training program and production offer for corporates, nonprofits, and individuals who wish to engage in a premium one-time membership, and currently developing a rewards program that includes our Chic token for those interested in developing initiatives for women and girls. Our traction so far has been 250,000 downloads in over 175 countries with KaiOS, with zero marketing spend, an exclusive partnership with Geo since we entered the Build for Bharat Accelerator program, and also $600,000 in non-dilutive funding, which we've already successfully deployed. The industry landscape for Sheconomy is highly collaborative and partnership-oriented, where we've already signed agreements with large platforms like Acast and Podbean, and also with rewards programs from the Algorand Foundation, where we received a huge grant, as well as a large sponsorship from Chemonics for one of our events in Barbados last year. The future is bright, and we're hoping to partner with all of the organizations on this slide if all goes well. Thank you. Leadership team, myself, I'm a Fulbright scholar to the Indian Institute of Technology in Mumbai. I've built, scaled, and grown global women's platforms for the past 2 decades. David Holtzman was the CTO of Network Solutions before they went public. He also worked at IBM and on the next computer with Steve Jobs. Douglas Elinoff was one of the authors of the Jobs Act, as well as the angel who helped us with our IP portfolio for the past decade. Funding, we've received over $600,000 in non-dilutive capital. We were one of the largest award winners of the COVID Innovation Competition from the Islamic Development Bank from 5 different countries, including Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. We also won a huge grant from the Algorand Foundation, and now seeking $500,000 in a pre-seed round that will not only enhance our tech, but build out our infrastructure operations, as well as help us with growth and sales. We want to say thank you to Peachscore and everyone for listening. I'm Anu Bardwaj, and it's been an honor to speak to you today. Thank you.
All right, let's go to our second startup named Codifine. They're streamlined the collaborator journey with their dedicated platform founded in May 2023. They're located in Mexico. They are in administrative services and they are in seed round stage. They do have a pitch score of 596.
The main issue that we're trying to... Hi, I'm Pablo Fajer, CEO of Codifin. At Codifin, the main issue that we're trying to solve is the scarcity of tech talent worldwide and the very high costs associated with hiring this tech talent, specifically in the US. Due to this, many US companies are thinking of migrating operational positions to LATAM countries, since it's 4 to 5 times cheaper to hire people in LATAM countries. Right now, their solutions are very inadequate. The first option is to establish a company entity offshore, which will take around 10 months to begin operating. And they will have to navigate a very complex regulatory processes, as well as they have very lack of industry knowledge and talent knowledge for that country. Their other solutions is to outsource those services, and they will have to hire 4 to 5 different platforms in order to cover the full employee life cycle, which will in turn become even more expensive. At Codifin, we have created an AI-driven platform that covers the full employee life cycle and helps companies seamlessly migrate operational positions to LATAM. This includes 3 pillars: from building their team with an AI platform that matches the company requirements with the specific talent that they need in LATAM countries, streamlining their selection process with automated filters, technical evaluations, integrity filters, etc., contract generation, etc., and then giving them full visibility into the workforce administration, administering that talent with giving the client full visibility into their productivity, into the equipment that they need, into their profiles, and with a real-time automated payroll. And finally, from the collaborator side, helping the client retain these collaborators by creating automated and personalized onboarding and inductions, continuous learning and development programs, as well as certifications and evaluations from the collaborator side with our e-learning platform. We have 2 business models. The first one is a SaaS, where we charge a percentage of the salary cost per month to manage the team here in LATAM. This includes the talent sourcing, the employer of record, the workforce administration, and workforce engagement. The other business model that we have is a talent sourcing, where we charge 1 month fee of a salary per talent hired, and this only includes our AI platform, where companies use it in order to match with the talent that matches their needs. Our main competitors are other EOR platforms. Our main competitive advantage is that, first of all, we focus on the team creation. We've implemented technology in order to build the best teams, and other EOR platforms don't focus on the team building, which we believe it's a key factor in migrating positions to LATAM and what clients really value. The next one is workforce visibility. Many clients, one of their pain points of using these platforms was that they don't have visibility as to what their collaborators are doing, since they're not there with them. So we give them full productivity analysis and full visibility into what their collaborators are doing. And finally, many of these EOR platforms do not have that collaborator side in terms of how programs in order to retain them, which at the end ends up costing the client. And we have a fully learning platform integrated to our general platform that helps create learning and development programs and engagement programs for collaborators. We have a huge market opportunity. The US nearshore market only to Mexico is a $9.4 billion industry annually, and this only includes companies that are thinking of nearshoring to Mexico. There's a whole other universe of companies who haven't even thought of migrating positions to Mexico. And our focus is in cross-border states with IT consultancy companies that have already thought about nearshoring operations. And this really represents around 1,000 companies with $370 million in revenue. Financials have been very strong. We have been growing with a CAGR of 40% month to month and have been cash flow positive since April. This year, we're thinking of, or we're going to make around $1.6 million. And next year, we're expecting to make around $6 million with a CAGR of 113 of growth. We're asking for $1 million for seed round, and this will be used specifically for marketing and a US sales team in order to really capture the market, a LATAM expansion in order to increase our offering, and technical developments to release future features from the product. It includes me from Bain & Company, which I joined the team, and I'm CEO. Emilio Beteta, who played a key role in GBM Plus, one of the first unicorns in Mexico, as the CGO, Chief Growth Officer, and Eduardo Serino as our CTO, who comes from Tata Consultancy Services. Thank you very much.
Startup. It's a scalable, adaptable heat pumps company. They have been founded in February 2022, located in the United States. They are in hardware industry in pre-seed stage. They have a Peachscore grade A- with a score 797.
Hello, my name is Jordan Sotude. I am the founder and CEO of Venera, and I am very happy to begin telling you about why you should be pumped about the future of heat pumps. So, as many of you may already know, heat pumps have been identified as a critical technology for a net zero future. In fact, the IEA says that we need to have 55% of our heating and cooling needs met by heat pumps to avert a climate disaster, but we're only at 10% today. The market has suffered from persistent pain points, including installation errors, workforce strain, and an inherent waste in legacy system design and replacement manufacturing processes. That's where our patented architecture comes in. It's smart, modular, sustainable, and enables smart city initiatives. We save you time, cost, emissions, and eliminate unplanned downtime. This is our market opportunity, the total addressable market. These vary a lot based on the assessments that you use and the assumptions in them, but in general, they're around $1 trillion with a serviceable addressable market of about 300 billion. Our early target markets are estimated at about $1 billion, and we expect a 10% conversion rate over the next 3 to 5 years. This is our business model and go-to-market. We have two primary avenues for business development. One is in licensing. That's because we fundamentally believe that if everyone adopted this architecture, it would make a huge difference in what we're trying to accomplish in the world. And so we want to make sure that as many people are able to do it our way as possible. In parallel, we're also developing unit sales and hardware as a service, maintenance and operational fees. Our primary channels are with pilots and strategic partners. And we recently won an SBIR with the Department of Energy. This is our competitive landscape. So these aren't all the companies out there, but they are representative of each type of company out there. Those that can beat us on cost can't really beat us on performance. Those that can beat us on performance can't really beat us on cost. And nobody is thinking about scalability in the way that we are because of how fundamentally different our architecture is. And nobody on the market is thinking about fault detection at all. We've had a really, really great couple of quarters. Our latest testing results are showing a 50% improvement over energy usage compared to other heat pumps on the market. Our downtime model results are very promising. We've had multiple signed LOIs with with retrofit programs, both public and private. I already mentioned that SBIR, and we've already got more pilots than we can afford to fulfill in the coming year. We've had another amazing support from these three accelerators that we're a part of: the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, US Green Building Council's Net Zero Accelerator, and Peachscore. This is a little bit about the technology that enables what we're talking about. We have quick connects that allow for the modularization of each component. We've essentially IKEA-fied the heat pump. Our variable speed compressor is what allows for those energy savings and the efficiency that we talked about in the previous slides. And our real-time model, sensors and communications not only optimize the performance of the system, but also enable proactive maintenance, telling us when a part will fail before it fails. This is our team. Love our team. All of us thrive in uncharted waters. As you already heard from me, my name is Jordan Sotude. I'm the founder and CEO. I've supported executives and executive offices at DoD, NASA, JPL, and in private consulting firms, Bryce Tech. Julian, our CTO, he has taken products from concept to market, built and led large technical teams at Amgen. Alvan, our CIO, is a trained roboticist from Carnegie Mellon, has developed control architectures for Uber. And our advisors are all serial entrepreneurs that bring key expertise in finance, technology, and manufacturing in the clean tech space. This is a little bit about our pre-seed raise. We are not actively raising now as we are able to continue developing with our bootstrapping funding. But anyone who's interested in getting on the ground floor of what is an increasingly fast-paced company, we are looking at about a $650K raise with a $6 million post-money valuation, most of which will go into technology development. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. This is my contact information for any follow-ups.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, let's go to our next startup pitch. The name of the company is Stark Drone Corporation. Stark Drone built a variety of technologies centered around disruptive telecom and infrastructure. They've been founded in February 2018, founded and located in the United States. They are in messaging and telecommunication industry, Series A stage. They have a pitch score of 557.
Okay, first off, I know I'm looking this way, so the angle might be a little weird. A little icebreaker about myself. I'm a Coptic Egyptian. I founded Stark Drones. Stark Drones is a company that works on internet balloon systems and cube satellites. So what are we trying to solve? A third of the world is unconnected to the internet. And basically infrastructure could be very costly, could be overburdening the grid, and could be extremely expensive to set up. Our solution is we have a low-cost CubeSat launch solution that utilizes various sustainable technologies. And it's basically a compact 3-in-1 modular solution. And we've been developing the solution that we have in place for a while that has a lot of intellectual property, including a compression algorithm that has been cited by Red Hat, which is a subsidiary of IBM. And our most recent IP is a trademark that has been approved for NOSFRIP. So we have a large intellectual property portfolio that's still either approved or going through the rebuttal process, but it's been a really long time coming. And the total addressable market size we're trying to do is $3.8 trillion. The serviceable addressable market is $1.27 trillion. And obviously the actual addressable market that we want to target is $600 billion visible growth by the year 2026. And our product is we have an end-to-end modular solution for CubeSat launches. So we basically created our own proprietary algorithm and our own CubeSat solution. And we found a way to launch a cube satellite utilizing an internet balloon system and basically be able to launch that cube satellite utilizing proprietary algorithms such as fuzzy logic, data compression, and whatnot, to be able to ping internet to a gateway on ground. And this is a cost-efficient launch mechanism. It doesn't need rocket fuel. It's very sustainable, and it's able to have internet without a lot of costly infrastructure. The revenue streams that we have is set on the idea of us being able to get funding and horizontally scale. We want to have potentially 500 launches by the year 2024, which is a contract for $2 million worth of launches. By the year 2025, 8 million, 16 million, 2026, 33 million for 7,000 launches by 2027, I believe. And then 2028, we obviously want to hit 10,000 units. And then we have an extremely prolific team. There's actually 9 people so far right now on our team, including outside of this, there's also a guy who is a former executive at Qualcomm, and there is an advisor who had a previous exit. But there's me, there's Luke, who is a healthcare and medtech entrepreneur, Trevor Miller, who is a passionate blockchain engineer and software developer, Joe Manzi, who is probably the most helpful guy, if not one of the most helpful people on the team besides me, the founder, is really helping on cost benefit analysis of prototypes. And besides that, he's a videographer. The use of funds, we're trying to do Series A through a wide variety of methods, including equity crowdfunding through Net Capital, Ansel List, trying to have fundraising advisors, and also setting up various safes. We're hoping to raise $3.5 million in lieu of Series A through all those fundraising methods. And we're hoping through a safe, maybe through Peachscore's connections, we could raise $800,000 in that goes towards that $3.5 million fund that we're trying to raise. And so far, that's all there is about Starkfilms, and I really hope you enjoyed our pitch.
Thanks, Andrew, for your presentation. Without further ado, let's go to our next startup. The name is Dining Tech. It's an all-in-one marketing, branding, and sale platform for food and dining industry. They've been founded in April 2019 in the United States. They are in IT industry in a pre-seed stage. They have a Peachscore grade A- and a score of 706.
Greetings. My name is Jaspal Singh, and I'm CEO of the company Dining Tech. I have come from a family of restaurant owners, and in Dining Tech, what we provide is an all-in-one marketing, branding, and sales platform for food and dining industry. We have early traction as a company, where we have won several competition and investment awards, including $100,000 from Render Capital, $80,000 from Elevate Ventures, crossing an upward of about $200,000. And the problem that we are solving is that as a restaurant owner, I don't have a reliable digital partner. Our profit margins are thin. We are not equipped for the digital world. It requires time, money, expertise, and technology to market my business. Marketing and branding is very hard for my business, and I want to promote my business, not an outside company. By keeping these problems in mind as a restaurant owner, what we have created is a solution, an all-in-one platform where we have 4 key products to take care of restaurant marketing and branding. We have marketing automation engine to take care of their search engine footprints, their social media automation, the sales engine to take care of their e-commerce and online ordering and marketplace needs, the branding engine to elevate their brand, to take care of their website, which is CMS based, and also take care of their digital menu, and an integration engine which is an API based to integrate with the POS companies, credit card processing, and delivery companies to take care of all key needs of the restaurants. The way we are approaching the market is through digital marketing and branding space. Our competitors are approaching the market from restaurant food and online delivery and online ordering space. Our beachhead market is Colorado, New York, Kentucky, and California, where we are targeting 100,000 merchants, independently owned restaurants, and franchise owners. Competition in this space is predominantly a blue ocean, where companies like Talk exited at $400 million, Punch exited at $500 million, Bento Box at $300 million, and Dining Tech has a potential to be a decentralized platform, which is a merchant-centric to take care of their marketing, branding, sales, and integration needs through one platform. How we make money? We charge $200 per month subscription cost to our merchants and 10% of the online sales. Our unit economics is $750 to acquire a customer, and we generate $3,600 revenue to Dining Tech from each merchant. We initially grown organically by referrals through the current clients. And we are recently signing up a deal with food influencers. And one of the food influencers have 1,500 merchants that we are signing an agreement with them. On a parallel track and forward, we have signed agreement with 2 POS companies having 100,000 plus merchants in our pipeline, which has revenue potential of $360 million annually to Dining Tech. That's why we have invested heavily in self sign up and self onboard. Therefore, by click of a button, these merchants can be deployed in our platform. And that's why we're raising the money, because we have a very large amount of customer in pipeline. We're looking to raise $2 million to acquire 3,000 merchants to achieve an ARR goal of $9 million. 40% of that would go towards sales, 30% for marketing, 30% for development. With these funds, we will cross annual revenue of $5 million next year. Or this year, we're going to touch revenue close to $1 million. By 2025, our revenue will be in upward of $15 million. By 2026, we will be exit ready with 10,000 merchants in our platform, an ARR of $30 million, and an exit readiness 5 to 8x of that amount. Our team is very diverse. We have team members to take care of our finance, marketing, operations, technology, and product management. We're looking to hire a business development expert to help transition Dining Tech to be a scale-up company. We have restaurant owners in our team to make our company a best product market fit in this space. With that Zen note, I conclude this presentation, and here is my contact information. I look forward to hear from you. Thank you very much, and wishing you all happy holidays.
Our last startup is LivingSense. It's a climate tech company. What they do is driving the transition towards net zero carbon to impact billions of lives. They've been founded in February 2020, located in United States. They are in sustainability industry in round stage. They have a Peachscore of A- with a Peachscore 713.
Hi everyone, my name is Avnish Kumar and I'm the co-founder of LivingSense. We are driving the sustainability with our product called GreenOps that is aimed to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions for the hard-to-abate industries. Let me just give the background what's happening in this industry. The hard-to-abate industry consumes not just the fossil fuels, but it's a complex combination of energy, thermal, and waste emission. And addressing this is not an easy problem, and that's where the industry is suffering with a clear mitigation strategy. The newer technologies like green hydrogen and all are still in incubation stage, and it is going to take its own time before the sectors like cement or steel and other hard-to-abate industry can be addressed in a meaningful way. So what we have done is to look into the problem from a holistic perspective and came with an artificial intelligence-based platform by combining the science and engineering with it. So we have started addressing the scope 1 and 2, which primarily address the energy and the process emissions. And we have now extending towards the scope 3, which is the both upstream and downstream of the emission part of it. We have developed more than 160 proprietary algorithms that is a combination of the science, engineering, and AI-based models, which is helping to capture data from the heterogeneous system. And then we are analyzing in real time to do the benchmarking analysis. And we have been addressing the typical equipments in the industry, which is consuming more than 20 to 25% of the energy and leading to majority of the carbon emission. At the same time, we have also come up with the process-based models that can help in understanding this carbon emission whether it is energy or process emission, and it can provide recommendations using a a cockpit, which is digital twin, and it gives the recommendation in real time to the operator so that the actions can be taken, and we can see the reduction for not just the CO2, but the SOx, NOx, and various other emissions. So that's what we do that. And these are some of the customer success. We have been already been in four industry sectors, specifically the oil and gas and chemicals, which were where we started. Today we are having more than close to 60 terabytes of data in these industries, where we are working with a specifically bottoms-up approach, addressing the carbon emission reduction with the waste reduction, as well as the profitability improvement. In metals, we have started with working with the aluminum sector, and we have been seeing the initial results where we are able to reduce almost the per ton of aluminum, we are able to reduce the carbon emission. And in specifically asphalt industry looks very promising, because this is one of the industry in United States where we are looking at expanding our solution. We have already been engaged with a customer for more than 10 plants here, where we are able to improve the energy efficiency as well as reduce the natural gas here. This is one of the case study where not only we reduced the carbon emission, but we were also able to reduce the waste and improve the overall yield of the plant that it led to the profitability improvement. We have seen the other competitive players, both in the startup world as well as in the larger players. We see that we have been very uniquely positioned, specifically in decarbonizing the hard-to-abate industry, or alternatively it is called the heavy engineering industry. And our solution is specifically energy balance model, which we have built over the years, that is able to combine along with the green fuels. So we are today also addressing even the combination of fossil fuels and green fuels together. We are addressing right now the US market, India market, and Middle East market. These are the three markets where we are looking for growing our presence in the next 3 years, with a target of $25 million revenue in coming 9 quarters. And this is our approach to go to the market. We are selling to the manufacturers. We have tied up with the OEMs. Some of them are the large OEMs who are again selling it to the manufacturing customers. And then we have also tied up with the SAP and SaaS kind of players who are the IT or the ERP vendors today. We have 3 business model. One is the reporting of the carbon emission. We are also doing the optimization, where we are reducing the carbon emission with our prediction. And then we are also delivering the carbon credits, which is more trustworthy, as we are capturing the data from the bottoms-up approach. This is our team. We are a combination of founding team as well as the advisory team, which comes from the industry experiences, specifically in the sustainability domain. And they have been spread across both in US and other locations in the world. And this is what is our business plan. We are looking, as I said, like we are looking at growing up to 100 million by CY28. And we are raising an around 3 million round at this, we call it as a pre-series A round. And we have been already in discussion with few of the venture capitalists. We are having a commitment of $2 million already. We are looking for additional $1 million to expand specifically in the new markets, including US. And these are some of our customer testimonials. Thanks. It's all about joining hands to be part of the climate change, and we are looking forward to save billions of lives as part of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. Great job. Really appreciate it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much to all of our startups. If you'd like to connect with anyone, please reach out to me or anyone in the Peachscore team. We'd be more than happy to make the connections. Also, thank you, Zoe, for hosting the startup pitch session, and as well, much thanks to Kayvon and John for the sessions earlier today. Everybody, we really appreciate your time spending the morning with us, and we hope you enjoyed this event. Feel free to connect with me directly if you have any questions regarding our program or any of the events that we had today. So thank you so much.